Hello knitting friend, welcome to Leenasday Knits podcast from Tampere, Finland. I've had an amazing morning going through all my FOs and whips from last time, and it took a moment. I thought I would be much faster, but here we are. I will be showing today a few different FOs, a couple of whips. Then there's gonna be a knit along announcement on Corbis weather, and then probably something else on the way too. I can't remember everything. You can see from the bottom of your YouTube, there's like that bar that follows the progress of how you're watching it. You can see the different timestamps for different items. So if you want to skip ahead and go just for some part of this, you're most welcome to do that. Welcome, thank you for joining me already, and let's get started. Before I go into the different FOs, finished objects, or for us Finns, finished objects, my size for reference, because sometimes I get these messages where people are asking what is your size when you're talking about the yardage or the choosing the size or something. I'm 5'3" in height, so 170 centimeters, and my bust size is 100 centimeters, which is 40 inches. So that probably gives you a good enough reference for sizing and yardage. Okay, I'm gonna start with what I'm wearing because it's the most warmest thing that I'm wearing today, and then I'll be changing into something else. I want to show these on me because I think it's nice to see how they fit and how the drape is for the yarn and everything. So the first one is November 10 by Ankestrick. Ankestrick is a German designer, and this pattern is paid for pattern in Ravelry. It is a hoodie, and for Finnish summers, very suitable. I can pull the hood up and enjoy the warmth in the back of the neck and everything if it's a cool evening. It has pockets. One of them is not sewn in yet, so I left this like this because I wanted to see if it puckers or anything from this side where I have sewn it in with a few stitches, so I can fit my hands into the pockets. I put an I-cord edging to the hemline and also to the sleeves. I love the yarn. It is a Finnish yarn from Jalovilla. It is called Pässi. And it is 85% Finnish wool and 15% nylon. And you can probably see some of the cool colors that are there. It is so nice, and here it's kicked up. And the yardage for this project ended up being 4.5 skeins, so 450 grams of this. The yardage for it is 230 meters per 100 grams. And the recommended needle size is from 3 to 4 millimeters. I use 3.5, so right there. And I can highly recommend the pattern. It is not the easiest of the patterns. I think some of the particularly English patterns tend to be even more detailed. So just bear that in mind. If you are a beginner, maybe not start with this one. But if you've knit some whatever sweater, shirts, this is a very, very easy knit. So now I'm going to change into something else. Hold on a sec. Okay, next one. I'm just checking that it's recording. I think it is. Okay, this everybody probably knows. This is the Ranunculus, which is by Midori Hirose. and it is probably one of the most knit garments in Ravelry, and I think it's my maybe 6th. I just love the pattern. It is so easy to make. For this one, I used 4.5 millimeter needle. I used a very affordable yarn. This was on sale in my local yarn store. It is not the yarn that is in the yarn band. It is a yarn that has come from Italy, from Gomitoli, but they have used a wrong band for this yarn. And for that reason, they were not quite sure what is the material, and it was on sale for less than €1 or less than $1 per skein. I think I purchased 16, and I used 7 skeins for this one. It has 40 grams, and it has been estimated to be about 100 meters per skein. So altogether, I used about a little less than 700 meters and a little less than 7 skeins. So 275 grams was the total weight of the shirt. I always like the more narrow neckline, so I only cast on 30 stitches in the way that you do it in this pattern. It has a particular cast on style. I like it. And then it has this yoke, and then it's just stockinette for the rest of the way. And I used twisted ribbing, so it's a twisted knit and regular purl for the hemline and for the sleeves. And I actually accidentally used only the size 4 millimeter needle for the sleeves, but I kind of like it. It's kind of like more fitted sleeves compared to everything else that is a bit more loose. And yes, the price of this shirt for the yarn is less than €7, less than $7. And I really like the fabric. It is, I wish I could have you feel it, because it's kind of, I think it reminds me of raw silk and kind of paper kind of yarn. And I don't know, if you're from Finland, you might still find this from Lankamaailma. They've put a sticker on it because they think it may be 80% wool, 20% polyamide. That's the Ranunculus. This is the next one. This is Tolsta Tee, and this pattern is by Clow. She has a beautiful Instagram feed and a nice knitting podcast, Kriya Pia. And in her episode 36, she talks a lot about the Tolsta Tee. It's a wonderful pattern for quite. It's a raglan. Hey, it is simple, but yet it is really something that there was something in it that was different. And one thing that I can put my finger on is that with the pattern, she has now upgraded the pattern so that it has both the fingering and then the, is it worsted weight? The heavier weight? Well, anyhow, 2 different yarn weights for pattern. Then she has this extra PDF with the pattern that has, I don't know, 20 pages? Many pages of ideas for different kinds of stripes, colors, lace, not lace, but different kinds of constructions, or how to call it when you have different kinds of shapes on the actual fabric itself. And she's collected those from different makers. And for example, these stripes that I made to mine were an idea from somebody who had made the shirt and had given the information on how many rows in between the different colors. Totally copied it from that one. And this sweater or tee is nice from cotton yarn, bamboo yarn, linen, anything like that. I made it from this Hjertegarn Bommix bamboo, which is has 70% bamboo, 30% cotton, and it is 50 gram grain, and a 50 gram skein has 105 meters. So aran weight, and 2 colors. I do not like knitting with cotton, and this yarn did not sell it to me either. I don't know if you can see, but it really splits into these thin threads. Also, I don't know if it was just my bad luck, but I had skeins where there were like 2 or 3 knots per skein. I made a hat from the same yarn right after it, and that skein had no knots in it. So I don't know if I just had bad luck with this, the skeins that I used for the tee. But with cotton yarn, when it's slippery, it is, at least for me, really hard to hide the loose ends and tie them and darn them in so that you don't see them. You have to always, you come across a knot, you have to back up so that you're not in the middle of the chest area or something where it can really show. You can go to the sides, you can go to the back. And I don't know if you can see any places where I've had to do that, but anyhow, for the sizing, I chose the size 4, but because I like a more narrow neckline, I started with a size smaller needles. So I started with 3.5 millimeter needles, and I cast on less stitches to the collar. You can see all my notes in my Ravelry page if you're interested. Then when I continued, I added, made increases so that it matched the size 4. Then when I was separating for the sleeves, I moved the sleeves a bit to the back so that I have 10% more stitches in the front panel than in the back, because the lady needs room for the boobs. So it's, I like it that way, and I always put the notes into my Ravelry page so that I have reference to go back to when I'm making the next one or something. What else? Yardage, I used a little over 5 skeins of the darker one. Lighter one, I used 1.3 skein. So altogether it's 330 grams if you're just making it with one color. Nice project, really quick. I think I did it in maybe 3 or 4 days in the evenings. Nice, well, it's spread out over 10 days, but time-wise, that's how long it took. And yeah, that's basically it. Can highly recommend the YouTube channel that she has, and then also the pattern. Both of them are really nice. Whip, which is a shawl. It's called Toivo, which is Finnish and means hope. This is the beginning of it. If you put into the Instagram Toivo shawl or Toivo huivi, you can find this Tiina Huhtaniemi design. This was a design that came out in the spring before the Jyväskylä Knitting Festival, which was last weekend in Finland in Jyväskylä. And she owns the store, the yarn store right there where the festival was held. And I had decided beforehand that I knew I won't have time to start, let alone finish a shawl before the festival, but I will purchase the yarn from there and start it there. So during the festival, I bought this Finnish lamb wool that is plant dyed by Aurinkokehrä. I bought this yarn and started the shawl from it during the festival. now I have a memory from there with that shawl, because that was my first time at the festival. Okay, before we go to the knit along, and before I forget, a summer beanie. These are my favorites. I think I've made 3 different kinds. I just cast on like this one. This one was 136 stitches with 2.25 millimeter skein needles, and the yarn is really light. This Hjertegarn Alpaca 400. It's alpaca, and it is 50 grams skein, 400 meters. So 800 meters per 100 grams. So it's like cobweb. And this beanie weighs 21 grams. I think it's equivalent to A4 size envelope. It is literally like nothing. You can stick it into your pocket of your jeans, and when it gets cold you can pull it out, and even though it's light, it's really warm. This is the first one that I made with ribbing, and for the next one I am not going to use ribbing. I'm going to just do it stockinette, because when it travels in my bag for months for me to make it, it's a bit of a slow thing. But when you carry it with you and you just kind of pick it up wherever you are waiting for something or someone, it just kind of grows, at least at some point. And the stockinette one I like more also because it's a bit puffy, and this one is really just fitted. And yeah, for the 3x1 ribbing I would need to check, okay, where is the purl that I'm supposed to be making, so it's easier to just have stockinette if you want that. Just a tip for summer hat. Okay, let's continue to a knit along, because in the spring I found this beautiful, gorgeous pattern from Ravelry. I'll put a picture here. And I just totally fell in love. It is called Corbis Sweater. It is by Natasja Hornby. She is from the Netherlands. And by the way, she also arranges a wonderful looking knitting retreat on a beautiful island at the northwest coast of Netherlands. Anyhow, check her out. On Instagram, she is Moonstruck Knits with an underscore before the word knits. And I thought I just have to make that sweater. It looks absolutely stunning. And I think it looks, in all the pictures of the projects, I think it is really nice if you have a bit of bust and curves. So I purchased the yarn. It is exactly the yarn that they have in the pattern. So it is knitting for olive pure silk. I don't know if you can see that. And I am going to begin at some point shortly during the summer. We're having a knit along for this because I want to share kind of progress. I want to hear tips from people. I want to share the love for this shirt. It has this beautiful, like you saw in the picture, it has this kind of like a basket weaving at the neckline and lower down. The construction is just so interesting. And they have a hashtag that they're using in Instagram, Corbis Sweater. I recommend you can go and look at the different sweaters that people have made. And if you want to join into the knit along, please use also the hashtag Corbis Sweater KAL 2023. And there is a wonderful thread in Ravelry. So if you go and look for this Corbis sweater and you follow and find the designer, or you go directly to the Moonstruck Knits and find the sweater and find their groups. One of the groups is only on Corbis sweater. One of the threads, the subjects is the Corbis sweater. So there are wonderful tips about different modifications or what to pay attention to or whatnot. So please come along. Let's knit along, and I will run the knit along until the end of the year. We'll definitely figure out something to share and surprises. I tend to think ecologically about these. So if you are from Finland, it could be something that I can mail, but if you are somewhere else, I'd rather then share something like an electric pattern or something like that from Ravelry. But let's see what we come up with by the end of the year. Maybe also along the way. I am excited about that because that pattern is so gorgeous. So, and happy to share the progress with everyone. I hope I get to see your progress as well. It was so much fun at the knitting festival. I looked at this pattern and I was looking for the yarn, and people were talking to one another kind of like, what have you found? Did you find some yarn? And I said, I'm looking for yarn for this pattern. And so many people were like, whoa, what is that? I need that. So I hope there's more of us joining in on this knit along. Okay, I think that was it this time. Unless if you are in Finland and you do speak Finnish, please hop into the end of the other one or come into the Instagram pages, because we also do have a challenge on blood drive. So in case you happen to be around. Thank you so much for joining me for this podcast. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you come again, and always happy to see if people like and subscribe. So, and comment. There are always wonderful comments. Thank you for those as well. Let's keep the conversation and knitting going on. I hope you have a wonderful summer. Happy knitting.